Hi, and welcome back to Ask a Pennsylvania Dutchman. My name is Chris LaRose, and this here's Doug Maidenford, our resident Dutchman. How are you, Doug?
I'm doing A-okay, buddy.
Have any updates on anything in your life that you want to tell the world at large about?
No.
Alright, perfect. That's how I like it. So, our question today comes in from Brian Moll. He says, what can you tell me about Pow-Wowing?
Oi, that's a good Pennsylvania Dutch topic. And I bet a lot of you people out there that know nothing about Pennsylvania Dutch know absolutely nothing about Pow-Wowing.
Obviously, if
Do
they
you
don't know anything...
Well, yeah, that's true. Do you know anything about Pow-Wowing?
I haven't heard anything about Pow-Wowing since I was a kid.
I don't know where the English word powwow came from, because I always think when I heard that it sounds like something with the Native Americans, and really powwowing, I don't think it really has anything to do with the Native Americans. Well, kind of. Powwowing in Pennsylvania Dutch is called brouwerij, and really what it is, it's this form of faith healing, also mixed with herbal medicine.
It's throwing salt over your shoulder.
It's a traditional.
Around 3 times.
It's a traditional way of making people better medically. And I mean, this goes back pretty far in our traditions and our culture. I think the ideas probably came from Germany when the people immigrated, the old medieval style of medicine practices. Now, we didn't do no bloodletting or anything like that in the Pennsylvania
We let
Dutch.
the leeches do that.
Yeah, no, there were no leeches either. But what you would do is there would be people that supposedly could be taught the ways, or sometimes were born with these gifts, that they could heal people and make people feel better, sometimes with the use of plants and herbal remedies, and sometimes with, yeah, it's going to sound a little funny for most people, but with spells. There were certain...
Do you know any spells, Doug?
No, I can barely spell myself, let alone spells themselves. That sounded a little funny. But you could learn these incantations, and you could say them, or over someone that's sick, and then if you did it the right way, you could make them better. There was good powwowing, and then there was also...
Where you hex people?
Well, and that was the opposite side. You could be a good powwower that made people feel better, and you could get called to someone's house and help them out. But then on the other side of the culture, we had the people that used these types of magic, I guess you could say, for evil things too. And there's a lot of stories in Pennsylvania Dutch history of what we'd call a hex. A hex is a witch in the dialect, and they would hex you and put curses on you and things. There's tons of stories. There's a great story about a guy that they thought put a hex on people in the early 1900s, and they ended up murdering him because they thought he was a witch. That's not that long ago, 100 years ago or so. But powwowing, yeah, I mean, it is a part of our culture. Now, my family, personally, I never had any contact with powwowing. No one in my family, I don't know if we didn't believe in it or not, but we just didn't use it. We didn't do things like that. There was superstitious stuff we did, but I wouldn't say it was powwowing related.
I say we put a hex on the audience to impulsively click like on all of our videos.
That'd be a good idea, but I don't know how to do that.
Oh, we'll figure it out.
But, you know, there are powwowers still today that have learned some of the... Because it's almost like a Jedi Knight.
I was just going to say it's like Star Wars.
You could be trained by a powwower to become a powwower.
And that's when they give you a lightsaber? And...
No lightsabers.
Oh.
But then you would go and practice what you've been taught and make people feel better. So there's a lot of people in Pennsylvania Dutch culture that believe in this stuff and truly believe in it.
Where are the hubs for all this powwowing?
Oh, they're all over
Philadelphia.
They're all over the place right now. There's a big resurgence among paganism in some circles in southeast Pennsylvania. There's pagan pride days, and these people that are believing and using in herbal medicine and so forth. So it's coming back, I think, a little bit.
So then they use the old Dutch words for them, too.
Yeah, they're using the old Pennsylvania Dutch words for some of the plants and the herbs, and I think that's great. The language is getting spread that way. But it truly comes down to whether you believe in it or not, you know. And I grew up in a family that we just didn't necessarily, we didn't do that stuff. But there are Dutch families out there that do. You know?
I don't remember hearing too much about it when I was a kid.
No, it just depended on what circles you were in, and you know, in your family. But there are powwowers still around. And I guess we got to give a shout out to the most famous powwower of all time, and that's Mountain Mary. Mountain Mary was a woman that lived in the Ole Valley in the 1700s, and she had the gift her husband was killed in the Revolutionary War or around that time period, and she went up into the hills of the Ole Valley and kind of secluded herself, but would come and heal people. And she's really a cult figure in our historical aspect of the Pennsylvania Dutch culture. So we got to give Mont Mary a shout out. But yeah, I mean, if you believe in it, that's great. You can find powwowers. I don't know if there's like a 1-800-POW-WOW number out there, but there might be. I don't know.
There might not be enough digits.
There might not be enough digits for that. That's a lot of letters.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's what powwowing is. This idea of traditional medicine and traditional practices of healing. So it's a good question because a lot of people don't know anything about it. So
no, it's a pretty interesting topic. Actually.
It's a very interesting topic, and there's been a lot of stories in history about powwowers and hexes. So these people that they thought were witches. Everybody always thinks witchcraft in America was just Salem, Massachusetts. Well, there were Pennsylvania Dutch witches too, which is pretty cool.
So you heard it straight from the Dutchman. And just remember, we put a hex on you, and the only way to get rid of it is to click like on our videos. And all
that. So now you should do that.
All right, well, you heard it from the Dutchman. My name's Chris, and this is Doug.
Stay healthy out there. We don't need any powwowers coming to your house.
Yeah, and until next time, Mox Scoot.
Mox Scoot. If you have a question, why you have to email us at busterpa@yahoo.com.